Philly. Let's go see what the people have got to say. I'm ready to roll, baby.
Now listen here, Dutch. The Mets and the Cowboys, they suck.
1, 2, 3, go Birds! Go Birds! Here we got 302BIRDS, Gino Stinks. Go Birds! Oh my gosh, Chad.
Your favorite Chicagoan. Go Phils.
As always, God bless. Go Birds.
Get your water ice and soft pretzels ready because you are now tuned into a 302BIRDS podcast experience. Proudly presented by TickPick, Nick's Pizza, El Diablo Burritos, and Klondike Kate's on the heart of Main Street. Let's take it to the show.
Happy 4th of July Eve, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 302BIRDS. We aren't going anywhere. Still bringing you guys a live show. Might be a shorter one tonight. I'm joined tonight by my Uncle Keith here, calling into the show. We'll get to him in a second. Real quickly, I also want to introduce, of course, you guys know Eric joining us, subbing in from the Phillies post-game show. I know he's locked in on that game right now. He was telling me being the true fan that he is. But we're live right now in Ocean City, New Jersey, hanging out. I didn't want to say, the other one, but could have made a joke. But before we get into our call in here, I already introduced my Uncle Keith. I do want to thank El Diablo, as always, for sponsoring Jack's weekly call-in segment.
What do I want when I'm in the state of Delaware? Of course, El Diablo Burritos. Customer service always is serving your food with a smile on their face, asking how your day is, but their food is phenomenal as well. Their burritos are out of this world, one of the best burritos in town. Their queso is phenomenal. Their burrito bowls are amazing as well. When you're in and around Delaware, stop by your local El Diablo Burritos and tell them that 302BIRDS sent you. God bless, go Birds.
So, Uncle Keith, you're hanging out with us today. We're blessed with your presence. What are you bringing to the show tonight? What would you like to talk about?
First of all, nostalgia, because we have over 30 years of history in Ocean City where we're broadcasting from.
True.
And we were fortunate enough years ago to have a shore house very near here. And my youngest daughter used to, when she was 3 years old, she didn't pronounce things properly. So this is just a little lead into what I'm going to talk about. That she said, "Oh, we're going to Ocean City to our whorehouse instead of Ocean City to our shore house." Wasn't that pretty good? Do you remember her saying that? All right. Ocean Shitty.
When we started the show, I was worried I was going to slip up. Instead, you slip up for me. Thank you.
That's actually a good lead in because I'm going to talk about, speaking of shitty, I'm going to talk about Chip Kelly.
Wow, what a great transition that was. So tell us, what would you like to talk about Chip Kelly today?
I wanted to transition from the bad place we were in to the good place we're in now to make people appreciate how fortunate we are. And we're here, we're in a good place now by no accident. A lot of things happened that smart people made good decisions, and that's why we're in a place now. But one of the biggest mistakes Chip Kelly made, he was a collegiate coach, and he was used to treating those 18 to 22-year-olds as boys. And when he tried to transition to the NFL, you can't treat NFL players like boys. They're grown men. He never earned their respect because he always treated them like boys. And he didn't know how to display leadership to these men, not boys.
You're right. Deshaun Jackson, LaShawn McCoy, and how frustrating as a fan was it too to see guys like that go away?
Oh well,
authentic, yeah. an authentic fan sounds like right there.
I think Chip could have been a lot kinder and respectful of the black players on the team, and I'll leave it as that. He was not respectful or kind or decent to the black players on the team, and I'll leave it at there. I don't have to say anymore. I think that was his big problem. I don't know if he's ever.
No, you're right. And LaShawn McCoy and Deshaun Jackson have came out even this year and said that with even haircuts, even making people cut their hair, which is crazy to think about that was happening in 2014, 2013.
The black players on the team differently than the white players on the team. So now I won't use any adjectives or anything, but that's people can make their own judgment, and that's why he's gone, fortunately.
And then the Niners hired him after that was the crazy thing.
Oh, geez, what a
dysfunctional organization.
He's on them.
Yeah.
But fortunately, he was fired, as I said on one of the previous broadcasts, because he didn't go to Jeffrey Lurie's wife's Christmas party. I mean,
you did say
how stupid can you be not to go to Jeffrey Lurie's wife's Christmas party at their beautiful mansion, wherever it was? So he did. He just totally snubbed it. And I remember my wife waking me out of the sleep because that was the straw that broke the camel's back with Jeffrey Lurie. So Jeffrey Lurie fired him because he didn't go to the party with one game left. But he had it with all of his smoothies and his unequal treatment of the players on the team. So he run his ass out of town, which is a good thing. Then they got Doug Peterson, and the big issue at the time with Doug Peterson was that he has a thin resume, and part of that was right, because not too long before that he was actually a high school coach, but he had moved up the ranks. So finally, Jaworski came in, and he put the kibosh to the thin resume. He came on the air and he said, "I want to settle all this nonsense. This guy is more than qualified to be the Eagles coach, and I don't want to hear any more of this bullshit about a thin resume, or he was, 3 years ago he was coaching high school. He's going to do a good job." So then Doug and Jeffrey Lurie and Howie go on Bill and Ted's bogus adventure to find a new quarterback. So they go to North Dakota State and pick up an injury-prone, let me get this right, crybaby Division 1A quarterback, i.e. Carson Wentz. So he did get us to the
one seed in the playoffs, but that was about it.
Yes, and then
we know he wouldn't have won those playoff games. He didn't have it in him like Nick Foles did.
Well,
it was the yin and the yang.
No, let me get to Nick Foles. WIP ran off a good man when they let Hollis Thomas go in 2022, because he spoke the truth, and that's probably why they ran him. On that Spike Lee guy, he was firing everybody. How can you be some bony ass guy that's 6'1", 150 pounds, and call yourself Spike Lee? I mean, if you're Spike, I'm more of a Spike. Not Spike. I'm more of a Spike than he is. I mean,
Spike Eskin.
Spike Eskin. I'm sorry. I mean, Spike. You're gonna be called Spike. You should be badass, not some girly man like he was. So at any rate, Hollis Thomas, there was a big argument over when Carson Wentz got hurt. And they knew he was injury prone when they hired him. So it's not like he pulled the wool over anybody's eyes. And the guy had limited playing time as a quarterback at North Dakota State, or wherever the hell he came from. I think it was North Dakota State.
Yeah, North Dakota.
And it was 1A. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was like Division 2 or
It was not. It was yeah. It was. He was a second tier. A second tier quarterback. So they had all these wild ideas about who they wanted to get. They even talked about Colin Kaepernick had been released from the 49ers. They talked about putting an Eagle shirt on him
That would have been awful.
and making him a quarterback. So finally Hollis Thomas comes in. He's the only sane man in the room on WIP. And he says the guy that's going to be quarterback is already wearing the Eagles jersey. Was he 9? He was 9, right?
Yeah. Nick Foles was 9.
Nick Foles was number 9. And everybody laughed at him. Oh, that guy can't. He's going to fold in the when the pressure gets on. He says, that's the guy that needs to be the quarterback. So somebody must have listened to him and had some presence of mind and make him the quarterback. Because if he hadn't been the quarterback, well, first of all, you're not going to bring in some joker from nowhere and have him earn the respect of the team like that. Nick Foles was already there. The players liked him. He was a true leader. He was the decent guy. When someone effed up on the field, he didn't go over and yell at him and give him a dirty look or anything. He actually helped them up and said, okay, we're going to get this right the next time. He was always uplifting, not some negative guy. So when Hollis said that, I said, you know what you're talking about. So they listened to Hollis. Next thing you know, we win the Super Bowl. But then poor Hollis was have some side gig on some minor thing he was doing in addition to WIP. And Spike said, you got to read your contract here. You can't be selling Mr. Mr. Softy there on the side. It was something stupid like that. And he fired him from WIP. Lost a good man on WIP. I think some of the better folks on WIP were the former players. John Ritchie and Ike Reese in the afternoon. The other guys are just talking heads, but these guys, you do need some former players to give you a reality check as far as how things go, because they played the game, they got hurt, they know what it's like to win and lose, but not to say that you can't be someone like yourself that has become a football guy. And even though you've never played the game, it doesn't mean that you can't become a football guy and speak intelligently about football. But in order to do that, you need to listen to the guys that played the game and not second guess them or, try to put yourself in their position. You can't unless you've actually played the game. So with all that, I think I've exceeded my 10 minutes, have I not?
You're all good. That was good stuff. I'm glad that you shouted out Hollis Thomas. We want to thank you for coming on here, Uncle Keith.
I did pull a Biden. I had notes here because I didn't want to freeze up. And did I look like Biden at any time during the broadcast while we're staring out in space?
I think you're all good. Don't worry.
Very good. I'm very good. All right. Well,
I think we're all good.
Vote for, but
all good.
Him. I want to imitate, people that are alive.
Oh yeah.
And have one foot in the grave.
Well, you're all good. Well, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yes.
And now headed into our next segment. Yeah, it is a nice setup here. Headed into our next segment with Shard, the ballpark Tommy time. Time for Phillies talk with ballpark Tommy. Finger stitch.
Obviously, I'm not ballpark Tommy, but I'll do my best.
Sorry, I was getting a little round of applause here. Thank you again to Uncle Keith for coming on. Still getting a round of applause. So, Shard, what's your opinion on the Phillies injury bug so far?
So, I mean, we've talked about this on the post-game show a couple times, and I guess I'll kind of beat a dead horse here because I've talked about it, but I think honestly, as of right now, they're kind of in a good situation where even though they have injuries, they're still finding ways to win games. They're still, I mean, you got Bryce out, you got Kyle out, you got JT out. Marshawn tonight, he's going off. He just hit a double. He had a home run, so he's carrying. Garrett Stubbs, count your fucking days because you won't be here by the end of the season if Marshawn keeps carrying like this. But I was watching ESPN earlier, and one thing that they brought up, which I thought, I agree with, is the Phillies are probably the best team in the MLB right now, solely for the fact that even with all these injuries, they're still finding ways to win. I mean, you look at the Braves, they have all these injuries. What are they doing? They're losing. Look at the Yankees. They have all these injuries. They're losing right now. I think it's 3-2 to the Reds. So, like, Phillies, yes, we lose here or there, but it's like we're not losing back to back to back. We might lose one here or there, and then they come out the next day absolutely dominant. So, like James said here, this team will be fine. I think, honestly, we might lose tonight because right now it's 2-1 against the Cubs, and their pitcher is honestly he's getting to us right now. But again, I think in terms of adversity, in terms of is this the best team to overcome injuries? Yes. I think even though we have the injury bug, I'd rather get it done this time in the season compared to September, October, where if somebody gets injured, we're fucked. But again, like I said on the show, they're finding ways to win. So even if there are injuries down the line, if they can find ways to win now, they can carry that over to later in the season.
Yeah, it's a sign of a strong team. You know what I mean? Like you said, when they find ways to win, when everything seems to be going wrong. JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber. I talked about it the other night as well on the post-game show, but like the night where they had back-to-back 4 runs combined, it's not going to win you games in the MLB. So they got to get it together. But Trey Turner has gotten it together. I mean, he really, really has stepped up in this injury bug, in these absences. And I can't be happier with him, especially over the past week of how he's responded. Shout out to 3-Cap Jack as well. If you know, I just had to say that. But we are transitioning now into an all-star takeover. It could be the most ever votes for the Phils in the all-star game, possibly.
In terms of starters, I think this is the most starters because I don't think they've ever had more than 2 starters voted. I could be wrong. I know Nick Castellanos and Brandon Marsh were in the running for starters in outfield, but they got beat out by, I believe, Padres and one Brewer, I think. But it's Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, and Alec Boehm. Those are the first trio of Phillies infielders to start the All-Star game since 1982. So they haven't had a trio since 1982. In 1982, it was Pete Rose, Manny Trillo, and Mike Smith. They started in the 1982 All-Star game for the Phillies. And then Turner is the first Philly shortstop to get selected as a starter since Rollins in 2002. So, I mean, I was looking on Twitter, and a lot of Dodgers fans were pissed off that, Trey Turner got the start over Mookie Betts. And in my opinion, yeah, Mookie is a little bit better than Turner, but he's injured right now. And because he's injured, I mean, it's the same thing with JT. JT was in the running for, a starter position in the All-Star game, but he's injured. So it's like, if he's injured, how is he going to play? He might get the All-Star badge on his resume for this season, but it's like, again, you gotta vote for somebody that's able to play. So again, it's Bryce Harper at first, Trey Turner at short, Alec Boehm at third base. I think this is Trey Turner's like 3rd or 4th All-Star appearance. Alec Boehm, this is his first ever All-Star appearance, so congratulations to him. He absolutely deserved it. He's tearing up the league right now. He leads in RBIs in the NL. He's progressed a lot.
Yeah, Boehmer has been a real stud this year. I love the kid. I can't wait to see what he does. He really has stepped up this year. Sorry, my family in the background making jokes, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think Sunday is they announced the reserves, which is like the bench players. and then they announced the pitchers. So I think right now, pitching wise for the NL, in terms of starters, I mean, you got to have Ranger, you got to have Suarez, and you got to have Wheeler. Those are the top 3 NL pitchers you have right now. And even like today, when they announced the NL Players of the Month, so like Bryce Harper, he's back-to-back NL Player of the Month. And then when they announced Christopher Sanchez, the locker room went absolutely crazy today. Like all the reports were like, as soon as they said Christopher Sanchez, like the vibes were just off the charts with them screaming and hollering because I didn't expect Christopher Sanchez to get NL Player of the Month. I don't think anybody expected it. He's been dealing.
No, not at all.
He's earned that contract extension. So again, like I think he's probably going to get beat out by fucking what's his name? Livy Dunn's boyfriend, Paul Skeens, because that whole storyline.
He's been on fire though.
He's been on fire, but like in terms of NL ERA, he's not. I don't even think like his innings pitched qualify him for a starter right now. Like he's starting, but I don't think he qualifies for like NL stats. Kind of similar to like Turnbull. Like Turnbull doesn't have enough innings pitched to where he can qualify for like top 5 ERA or whatever. But I think it'll probably be Ranger. It'll probably maybe be Sanchez, and then it'll be like Paul Skeens. It'll probably be I don't even know. It'll probably be somebody from the Braves. Nobody on the Braves is a starter, which is great. We don't gotta watch any shitty tomahawks on the field. So that's great.
Tom Salucci, shout out to you. Happy birthday. I know he hates the Braves and he hates the tomahawk. He hates it. So I'm glad that you were able to shout that out. Pivoting now to a little bit more of just like, I don't even want to say unpositive topic. Carter Hart, somehow, I don't know how he's not banned from the NHL with everything that's going on, but to become a free agent now, I don't know if a team's going to. I haven't even done too much research into this, but I'm just shocked that he's going to become a free agent now. I don't think that much is to come of this. I don't think any NHL team will sign him. I don't think he'll ever play hockey in America again, in my opinion. But very interesting to see that, you know, they're breaking this story. They're trying to push it. I think trying to push the narrative that maybe he'll join an NHL team, which I don't think he will. I think it's over for him. What the Flyers will do at goalie now, that's the real question, I think, for a lot of people. We know Mishkov comes in, and he really looks like a stud for us. He's going to be a generational player, probably the most exciting player since Lindros in 93. But we'll see what's to make of it. But that goalie position, I don't believe in Urson. I didn't like him last year, so that is definitely a question mark for our Flyers. He had a couple good moments, but I think that they need to find somebody more reliable, a little bit older. Maybe not next year. They can let Urson develop because next year's just like okay, let's make it to the playoffs kind of year. We're satisfied with that. Whereas years later, I mean, there's going to be more of an expectation for Philadelphia Flyers. Chip chasing, which we will get to here in a little bit. Chard, do you have anything to say about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about the Flyers. I'm not a big Flyers guy. I don't really follow hockey. I do know that like there was that whole investigation with what was it, like Canada or something with Carter Hart.
Yeah,
like the Canadian team. So I mean, I don't think let me put it this way. Anytime you do something that you shouldn't, regardless of the sport, I mean, I don't think you should get a second chance. Like if you're gonna do that, then like just, you know, whatever. You're a popular sports figure, you're doing stuff you shouldn't do. So like you had your chance, you blew it, whatever. Again, I don't know anything really about the situation.
It's expected. Yeah, you're right. Like if you're gonna do that stuff, you should expect this. So he's done now. He's out of the NHL. Yeah. Should be at least. But we'll see. Like, there's more to come.
It's like, put it this way. Let's say, knock on wood, let's say like one of our beloved Philly guys did that, like Bryce Harper, Jalen Hurts, right? They would be run out of the city. So it's like, again, bye. We don't need you. I mean, again, I don't know anything about the Flyers. I don't know how good he was, but I know they got that fucking Russian dude or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah. Very good point. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter, what your expectation is. You could be Harper, you could be Embiid, you could be anyone, and it's over. So, very good point, Shard. Glad you brought that up. Transitioning now into our Sixers topic for the night. So, a little bit of a shakeup. 3 big signings, I would say, with Maxey, Oubre, George. They bring in Gordon for more depth. And then a little bit of a roster shakeup now, bringing in McCain. Definitely an exciting time to be a Philadelphia 76ers fan. Just when I get uninvested, this team finds a way to bring me back. They find a way to get me invested. They find a way I'll pay for tickets next year and go to a game. Love Kelly Oubre re-signing. Paul George, not too sure how I feel about the 4-year deal. If it was up to me, I probably would have tried to do a 2-year. I understand to get a player like that. He was probably the best free agent. So to get a player like that, I mean, you're going to need to offer something to compete with the Clippers. So the Sixers said, okay, we're going to offer you a longer deal in hope that you'll come here. It worked. If it doesn't work out for us, this is going to suck. I mean, we're going to fall flat on our face because Paul George is one of those players where when he's out there and he's healthy, he delivers. He had a great season last year. But that was the first time that he played in like 3-4 years. So he's not the same player that he was. I think he's actually even a little bit better. I think he's more of an IQ. He's more of a veteran, and he can be more of a role player. He doesn't need to be the one guy in this team. And it also takes some pressure off Embiid because he can be that guy, that closer that the Sixers have needed since Butler's gone away. So we'll see. And then Kelly Oubre, I think, is just great depth. He's a great locker room guy. I mean, the famous "you a bitch, you a bitch, you a bitch" to all the refs last year. I mean, that was just such an iconic Sixers moment. So I love to see him back. I think I'm going to have to cop an Oubre jersey.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like anybody for the Sixers right now is probably better than Tobias Harris. For you to go into a postseason game and it be an elimination game and put up 0 points, I knew they were going to get rid of him in the offseason. I think he went to the Detroit Pistons. So good luck to them. You're getting a guy who doesn't do shit and likes crumble cookies. So whatever. I think on paper, Paul George is a good signing. I think they're honestly going to be a good big three. That's kind of something that you needed in the past couple seasons. You needed people around Joel Embiid to kind of carry Embiid. We saw that last year with Maxey, where Maxey, every time that Joel was not playing, Maxey kind of carried the front of the team. So I think this is a good signing. I like the depth signing of Aaron Gordon. I like their draft pick, even if he's a TikToker. But I think honestly, on paper, it's between the Sixers, it's between the Knicks and the Celtics. But the Celtics right now, I mean, they're paying everybody out of the wazoo, and they're about to sell the team. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens with the Celtics. The Knicks, though, they're putting together a Villanova super team. We saw how far they went in the postseason last year. So, I mean, they went far in the postseason. I'll give them that. Knicks fans are annoying. They're New York fans, but I think honestly right now it's between the Sixers, the Knicks, and the Celtics. But again, we'll see what happens. I didn't really watch Sixers until that postseason last year, so I know some, but take what I say with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I definitely. They've kind of been up, down. Tyrese Maxey, though, Embiid, definitely two entertaining players. Pivoting now into our next segment, I actually want to welcome another guest onto the show. I guess you could say long-time listener, not a first-time caller. I want to thank my friend Amir for hitting me back up, coming back on the show.
I am here.
This drip you got, man. This is amazing.
I am here.
Oh, I'm ready. Let's go. Let's hear it.
Oh, you want to talk about?
So how are you feeling about Nolan Smith this year, man? I mean, what are your expectations for him? Do you think he's going to have a breakout year? You think he's going to be not a good player, sleeper player? What are you thinking for him?
I feel like in the first half of the season, he might be like okay, but I feel like he's gonna just like grow into a much better player in the second half.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good point. Like as the season goes on, he's a player that is smart. He has a high motor, a good IQ. He's decisive. And he had a couple good flashes last year when we needed him to. So I could see that, like a little bit of the first half of the year, he's kind of getting, his feet under him. But I think as he gets acclimated, he could kind of be a sleeper player on the Eagles for that, I don't want to say rookie of the year, but younger player that is a candidate for the best out of all of them. You got Jalen Carter here. You got Jordan Davis here. Of course, you have Nolan Smith, who we're talking about. But there's a couple other guys too, Nakobe Dean, that are sleepers as well, that aren't bad players that could certainly break out. So I think that's a great point, Amir. Hopefully,
yeah,
I hope you're right, man. He's got to turn it on.
Oh,
James is over here freaking out in the chat. I'm freaking out over here watching the game too. Alec Boehm just hit a homer on a fly ball.
I think James called that today. James has called Alec Boehm's homers and Bryce Harper's homers. So I'm going to have to start betting when James tells me somebody's going to hit a homer. Stay tuned for that.
Hey, he's proven why he's an all-star. So,
but Shard, how are you feeling about Nolan Smith and his growth for this year?
So I'm going to start with this. Okay. I think last year with the whole coaching thing, you had Brian Johnson, you had Sean Desai, and then you had who was the Patriots guy with the pencil? I can't think of his name. God, I can't think of his name right now.
That's the Patriots guy with what? Say it again.
The pencil. The guy that took over for defense like midway through the year. You see, you don't even know his name because he was just so shit.
Good point.
But anyway, so I don't think Nolan Smith was utilized in the way that he should have been utilized. He barely got playing time. He always dropped back into coverage. I think Vic Fangio is going to bring out what we need to see from Nolan Smith. I think, honestly, if you can get him more playing time and you can get him to kind of be that outside edge rusher that we know that he is, he's going to be fine. And I think, honestly, he has a case to be one of the best players on the team. I think, honestly, in terms of defense and offense, you've beefed up both. You got Saquon Barkley on your offense. You brought back C.J. Gardner-Johnson on your defense. That was you filled holes that you needed to fill coming off of last season because we didn't have a secondary. Our secondary was absolute shit.
Trash.
It was trash. I feel like as soon as that Buccaneers playoff game ended, Howie was like, all right, I know what the fuck I'm doing. I know where I'm going with this because he filled everything they needed to fill in the offseason. You got your star running back. You got your secondary back. You got your LBs, which I still think he should probably go find another LB before the season starts. I know you got the guy from the Buccaneers, and again, I'm blanking on name right now, but I think we're in a good spot, like your uncle was saying earlier. I think we're in a good spot compared to where we were seasons ago with Chip Kelly compared to now. I think the team is well taken care of. I think they're filling holes, and I think Nolan Smith is going to have a breakout year. I think there's a lot of players that are going to have a breakout year, like Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. I think they're all going to have breakout years. I think this is their year to show that the team's in good hands. We're passing this over from Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, Jason Kelsey. We're in good hands.
Amir, how are you feeling about that, passing of the torch with kind of this generational Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham's last year, Kelsey? I mean, really the trenches are passing the torches, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term.
The only part, I feel like we got our defense better. The only part that I'm a little bit skeptical about is us having, because we have Cam Jurgens as the center. He's going to replace Kelsey, right?
I think he should be starting. Yeah, at the moment he is, at least. Hopefully he does.
But even with that, I mean, Jason Kelsey was the one that drafted him. So it's do we trust Jason Kelsey on that draft, or do we just wait and see how he develops?
And what I'd like for Kelsey to do, I don't know if he would. Honestly, I don't know what he's doing right now. I think he's still like somehow involved with the franchise as itself.
He is.
But I don't know if he's coaching, like if he would like be coaching for like O-line. I wonder if
I
he
think
would do
I
that.
would love if he did some kind of a consulting thing with Stoutland and you, but I know he's doing ESPN. If that's
Yeah,
what you were
that's
going to
what I
say,
was gonna
Shard,
say.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he's going to be pretty much primarily occupied with broadcasting, which and his podcast, I would assume, which he's built for that. I mean, he's a natural at broadcasting. I would love if I could ever get Jason Kelsey on here. Shout out to Emily Rise. I'm going to reach out to her. She sounds awesome, and she's the one who put together the whole event for Kelsey. Awesome guy, awesome heart. So I know he's going to be primarily overtaken by that. But Amir, I really like that point because I think he could come in for kind of a consulting position a time or two. He'll definitely be around and talking to the locker room. You know, if he has okay, I got to be somewhere Thursday night football, Monday night football. Okay, Monday or Tuesday or maybe Friday, I'm going to come into the Philadelphia Eagles facility and go catch up with my boys. Go say what's up. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Out of our starting. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, building off of what you just said, I think they did that with Vic in the 2022 season because I think Vic was a consultant. And after that season, they were going to try to sign him because Jonathan Gannon, I'm not even going to get into because that's just going to be a whole rant. But Jonathan Gannon, kind of fucked us over in a sense because he just waited too long to go to the Cardinals. And they were going to sign Vic, and then Vic went to the Dolphins after being a consultant. So I think, honestly, if you bring Jason Kelsey in as a consultant, I would like that personally. I know he said multiple times he wants to be involved with the team. He wants to help out. I think, honestly, you take this season, you do your ESPN deal, you do your podcast, and then you go from there. You see what your options are. If you want to come back and coach, I could see him being a really good coach. He has the mentality for it. But I think, honestly, he's waiting to see what Travis does. I think he's waiting to see, is this going to be Travis's? I think Travis signed an extension for 2 or 3 more years anyway. But I think he wants to wait for his brother because him and his brother are kind of like a package deal. You're on mute.
Sorry, I think Travis is going to be done with football soon. I think that's a great point. I think he's found a love in the podcasting world and a love for Taylor Swift too. So we'll see. Amir, I also want to ask you this question. It is Philly sports related, of course, Eagles. We were kind of talking about it this week in the group chat, and of course you can give your opinion on it, but it's looking like a golden era could be ahead for Philadelphia sports. Saquon Barkley to the Philadelphia Eagles, Mishkov to the Flyers, Harper and the Phillies are really starting to find their way this season. And even when the Sixers let us down, they find a way to bring us back in with Paul George and all these signings. Would you say that Philadelphia is the next title town, or could you at least see us getting one title in the next 3 years?
Okay, so here's my thing. I don't know. I don't really keep up with hockey, but I just know that the Flyers fell off last season tremendously. And I think it might take like a couple more years outside of the 3, I think he said. Maybe like 6 or something until they get the title, because maybe in the 3, late 3. But Eagles, I do think that they might be able to get a title this coming season. Sixers, I don't really know. I feel like they need like another star, really, because I don't know, because you have Embiid, he gets injured, and then the team falls off, and then he comes back, and then it's like hard for them to adapt to him being back. It's weird. The Phillies, I know they're doing good. I don't really keep up with baseball at all, barely. But I'm pretty sure they're doing very good right now. So I could see them getting one. Because I remember I saw this post, and it's all starting to line up about how last time the Celtics won the championship, I'm pretty sure the Phillies did, and the Celtics just won a championship, so the Phillies are gonna. But definitely I see the Eagles getting one and the Phillies.
Shard, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to piggyback off of that with the whole Celtics thing. So, yeah, Celtics won the championship in 2008, and so did the Phillies. Phillies and Celtics both lost in the second round in 2022. Or not 2022, 2023, 20, whatever it was. They both lost. And then, sorry, I'm watching the game and doing this at the same time. So I'm invested for the podcast, for the Phillies post-game show. If you don't think I'm not watching the game, most chances I am watching the game. But yeah, I think honestly, the Phillies are the best team in the MLB right now. And I'll go down the list. I think if they don't win this season, again, we say this on the post-game show all the time, it's going to let down a lot of expectations because the expectations right now are high. Excuse me. They are, doing really well. They're overcoming adversity with injuries. They're putting up numbers. Like, they've beaten a lot of franchise records this season. And it's like, I think it was like the 83 team. One of the teams in the 80s, they did really well and they didn't do it. So it's like you gotta just like give us something to root for. I'm tired of being let down. I'm tired of being depressed. My mental health rides with Philly sports. So like don't give me another depression episode. Eagles, again, this is all on paper. On paper, you can have a really good team. It really depends on how they come out looking at the beginning of the season. With the Eagles, I mean, again, you got Saquon. People are comparing Saquon to the Eagles like when CMC went from, I think it was the Panthers to the 49ers, and he was, a really big turning point for them. I think, Saquon coming to us with a really good O-line can be great. I think with the Eagles, their Super Bowl window is open for this year, next year, maybe the year after that. I don't know much about the Flyers. I can't really say. And then Sixers, again, like Amir said, I think they do need another key piece. I did watch some of the playoffs last season. I feel like Embiid and Maxey were most of which they're superstars. They're those positions where you carry most of the team. But again, like Nico Batum, they got rid of. Batum was pretty good in the postseason. He got rid of Tobias Harris, which everybody knew that was coming. Again, 0 points in an elimination game. That's ass. So again, you need to find another player that can help carry the load and score points. But I do, in terms of all Philly teams, I would say anywhere from now to the next 5-year span, there's going to be some kind of title coming back to Philly.
Hype me up, as Amir said earlier. No, I'm kidding. That's how I'm feeling, though. Hype this city up. Like, this city is going to go nuts if we get one parade. If not, if we get multiple, I mean, don't even get me started for what's going to happen here. People are going to go crazy. I'm going to go crazy. If I had to rank all of these teams and give you guys sort of like a order, number one for me is the Phillies. The Phillies are by far in the best position, I think, to go to the World Series, to bring that championship back to the city, to bring a parade for us. Number two, Eagles. I mean, I think that the Eagles are significantly closer to the Phillies in that gap this year with the signing of Saquon Barkley. The Eagles didn't get 50% better by signing Saquon Barkley. Nothing dramatic like that. It's not like they revamped their whole offense. They got like 10, 20% better, but they were already like, it's like they went from like a 91 to a 94 in Madden. That's like pretty significant from one player. Not like they're going from like a 70 to a 85, you know what I mean? Like that kind of drastic change. But it's a pretty big deal change when you're that good, especially to compete with a team who has already repeated and won the Super Bowl back-to-back years. So I would love to see Eagles, Chiefs rematch. Book it here. Book it first. Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024. I'm saying it. I want the Chiefs. If I had to pick one team, I want the Chiefs. After the Eagles, I'm going to go Sixers now. It actually was the Flyers before because I had lost all hope. But the Sixers have just rejuvenated that. I think Shard pretty much said everything that I had to say about the Sixers, so did Amir. So I won't beat a dead horse, but it's going to be fun to watch them this year again, which is great. And I think Daryl Morey, I actually got to give credit where credit's due. I think he did a lot with what was out there this year in the free agency. And for that, you got to give the guy credit. Because in Philly, we expect a lot. We're not an easy crowd. And then last but not least, the Flyers. I don't think that the Flyers are going to win a championship in 2-3 years, but I think that the Flyers are going to win a championship in 5-6 years. And I think that the Flyers could be that team if they hit the lottery on a couple of these guys that doesn't win one, that wins three. Hockey town, guys like to play, they're gritty. Could be a really good recipe for success. So stay tuned. Philly sports are definitely on the rise. That's pretty much, I know, all we got, at least topics wise, except actually one more thing. I did want to talk about really quick Howard Eskin being banned and just touch on this because this is crazy. I mean, so we hear that he pretty much gave somebody an unwanted kiss at Citizens Bank Park, which is like craziness. You can't be giving girls unwanted kisses that are employees of Aramark, dude. Like, what the hell are you doing? And now he's banned from Citizens Bank. Today, the Sixers had a meeting, apparently, about it. He's kicked out of the Wells Fargo Center now, which probably means that the Flyers are going to do it. And if all three franchises are doing it, aren't the Birds going to do it too, probably? Not a good look. That means WIP is going to do it. Y'all hiring? I'm just saying. But point being, you can't do something like this, dude. I mean, it is disgusting. It's dishonorable. And I will say, I always had a bad feeling about Howard Eskin. A lot of people always disliked him, didn't like his takes, whatever. But like as a fellow broadcaster, I know that broadcasters deal with a lot of shit and a lot of people on the internet just commenting things, saying things. So I always had like a respect for him, I guess I would say. When I was a broadcaster, I lost every ounce of that respect when I heard this because, like, who do you think you are to do that to somebody? Just not a good thing. And I think somebody that got a little bit too much of a big head and is going to get a reality check. I mean, my Uncle Keith pretty much already laid in Spike. I'm not the biggest fan of Spike. I don't agree with wearing a T-shirt to a golf outing like they talked about, I think, but that's a story for another day. But I don't hate Spike as much as I dislike his dad. I just think his dad is smug. And even though I never agreed with him, I always was like, okay, this guy does what I do. Now I realize this guy doesn't do what I do. This guy is a sick, freaking perverted man. You can't be doing that, Howard. Come on, man. What are you doing?
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly, in my opinion, they're both scum. I don't care for either one of them. Spike. I blame Bryce's injury on Spike. And for the sole reason that Spike was like, oh, Bryce Harper doesn't hustle. The dude is in the running for MVP of the NL. What more do you want? I don't care for either of the Eskins. I think they're both assholes. And this just proves the point. For you to go out and think that you're whatever you think you are, and doing things you shouldn't, I'm glad you got barred. Like, hopefully this will show WIP that, like, he has to go. But I know they're keeping him on the air, which I don't agree with. I'm going to leave it at this. If WIP does not kick him off the air, you're going to see ratings drop. I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, ratings are definitely going to drop. Their Instagram is going to get more comments than ever. I will say ratings are definitely going to drop. Sorry, I don't know what my mic did there. Amir, do you have anything to say about this?
I didn't even know this happened.
Yeah, he's done, man. He's banned. It just happened all in the past, like, especially 24 hours. It kind of broke later last night into the evening, but just crazy. Somebody who was definitely an influential sports broadcaster in Philadelphia for a long time. And now he is banned from 2 of the stadiums, 2 of the teams, looking like 3 of the teams, and probably going to be 4. And then, like Shard said, probably the network. And if not, hell is going to probably break loose.
I think the Eagles, I read something. I don't know if take this with a grain of salt. Another reporter posted that I guess the Eagles aren't banning him because it's all hearsay right now. I don't know.
Yeah, they should. We'll see. Who knows? But that's all we got for you guys. I want to thank Amir. I want to thank Shard for jumping on. Of course, if you guys aren't, check out the Phillies post-game show. I know that they may not be doing it tonight just because he hopped on here with me. And tomorrow, we're definitely not doing it for the holiday. But we'll be back soon bringing you guys the Phillies breaking news. And if you aren't, drop a subscription, drop a like, drop a follow. Amir, on your way out of here, can you tell the people where they can find you at? We appreciate you for jumping on here, brother.
I actually have a sports TikTok where I talk about sports, and name of it, it's best name you've ever heard. Hold on.
Let's hear it.
Hold on, I forgot it myself. No. Amir H Sports. It's great.
All right.
It's
Well, if you
super
guys
good.
aren't, give Amir H Sports a follow. We appreciate you for jumping on here, man,
Yeah,
being a true fan.
no
And if you
problem.
want to jump on here again, let us know.
All right. And just
Cool.
know when y'all do Eagles post game shows, right? I don't know if y'all
Yep.
do. I'll be there.
All right. Well, come on sometime and you have to
All
call in. I would love that. Yeah, dude. Rant or good rant?
What?
Either do a rant, like a bad rant, or you can do a good rant if things go well, is what I'm trying to say. Sorry.
Everything. I'll do both.
Hey, sounds good to me. Appreciate
right.
you, man. Appreciate all you guys.
Yeah.
Everybody have a great and safe 4th of July. We're out of here.
What we got? 302 birds. You know, stinks.